Hi there again, my friends. We're getting to the last remaining console of the 6th generation for our series of videos based on the best metascoring games of all time by console. The console here is the most powerful console of its generation and the newcomer of its time. We're clearly talking about the original Xbox, an amazing piece of technology for its generation. Many of its milestones could not be supported by other consoles due to technical limitations, and a lot of the best exclusive of the era were here. The original Xbox era brought a mix of technical innovation, new franchises, and genre defining titles, so this ranking aims to reflect not just high scores, but real impact and staying power. That means some placements might surprise you, but every spot here is backed by data, not just opinion. So without further ado, let us start. Starting with an amazing racing game, Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition leans fully into arcade street racing. But what sets it apart is its open city structure combined with a strong sense of speed and freedom. Races aren't confined to closed tracks. You're constantly navigating traffic, shortcuts, and dynamic routes, which makes every run feel unpredictable. Customization also plays a major role, tying directly into progression and identity, especially with its dub partnership. While the handling can feel chaotic at times, that intensity is part of the experience. Critically, it stood out for its scale, style, and for pushing the street racing formula beyond traditional limits. Personally, I've always found this game better than the Need for Speed Underground series, and the metascoring methodology confirms that. Dead or Alive 3 builds on its fast-paced fighting system with a strong focus on fluid movement, counter mechanics, and environmental interaction. The gameplay feels immediate and responsive, rewarding timing and positioning more than complex inputs, which makes it accessible but still competitive at higher levels. What really stands out is its presentation. At the time, it was a clear technical showcase for the Xbox, with detailed character models and dynamic stages that directly affect fights. While its depth was sometimes debated, its smooth mechanics and visual impact earned it strong critical reception as one of the standout early titles on the platform. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, builds on its predecessor with a much darker and more philosophical approach to storytelling. The core gameplay stays rooted in RPG mechanics, dialogue choices, party management, and turn-based combat, but the real focus is on player agency and consequence. What sets it apart is its writing. It constantly challenges the traditional light versus dark dynamic, offering more ambiguity and deeper character exploration. Even with its well-known development constraints, its narrative ambition stands out. Critically, it was praised for its depth and tone, often considered one of the most thought-provoking RPGs of its time. Project Gotham Racing 2 refines the arcade simulation balance with a strong emphasis on precision driving and style. Its kudos system rewards not just winning, but how you drive. Clean lines, drifts, and risk-taking all contribute to progression, adding a layer of mastery beyond simple racing. What really stands out is its structure and polish. With a wide range of cars, real-world cities, and dynamic conditions, it feels consistently varied without losing focus. The handling is accessible, but demands control at higher levels. Critically, it was praised for refining its formula and delivering one of the most complete and technically solid racing experiences on the platform. The Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay blends stealth, melee combat, and first-person shooting into a surprisingly cohesive experience. Instead of relying purely on action, it encourages a slower, more methodical approach, where timing, positioning, and environmental awareness are key to progression. What really elevates it is its immersion. The prison setting feels dense and lived in, supported by strong voice acting and a narrative that fits naturally within the Riddick universe. Technically, it was also impressive for its time, both visually and in how seamlessly it mixes gameplay styles. Critically, it stood out as one of the rare licensed games that delivered both quality and originality.
Wow.
Silent Hill 2 Restless Dreams builds on the original psychological horror by focusing less on survival mechanics and more on atmosphere, symbolism, and emotional weight. The gameplay remains deliberately slow and restrictive, which reinforces a constant sense of vulnerability rather than empowerment. What truly defines it is its narrative depth. It explores themes like guilt, grief, and identity in a way that was rare for the time, using its environments and creatures as extensions of the protagonist's psyche. The added content expands on that experience without breaking its tone. Critically, it's often regarded as one of the most impactful and artistically ambitious horror games ever made. Forza Motorsport establishes a more grounded and simulation-focused approach to racing on the Xbox, emphasizing realism, car handling, and technical driving over pure arcade speed. The gameplay is built around precision, braking points, racing lines, and tuning all play a crucial role in performance. What sets it apart is its depth. From extensive car customization to detailed physics and progression systems, it offers a level of control that appeals to players looking for a more authentic driving experience. At the time, it positioned itself as a serious competitor in the genre. Critically, it was praised for its realism, content, and for laying the foundation of what would become a major racing franchise. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow refines the stealth-focused gameplay of the original, with tighter level design and more deliberate pacing. The core mechanics revolve around light and shadow, where staying unseen is not just encouraged but essential to progressing effectively. What really elevates it is how it expands the formula. The introduction of multiplayer adds a completely new layer, blending stealth and action in asymmetric gameplay that was ahead of its time. Single player remains methodical and precise, rewarding patience and planning over aggression. Critically, it was praised for improving consistency and pushing the series forward without losing its identity. Panzer Dragoon Orta is a fast on-rails shooter that blends arcade intensity with a strong sense of cinematic scale. The gameplay revolves around smooth target switching, quick reflexes, and managing threats from multiple angles while staying locked into constant forward motion. What makes it stand out is its presentation and atmosphere. The world feels strange and mythic, supported by striking visual design and a consistent tone that gives every encounter weight. It also introduces transformation mechanics that add variety to combat without breaking its flow. Critically, it was praised for its technical polish, artistic direction, and for being one of the most refined entries in the genre. Burnout Revenge pushes arcade racing to its most aggressive and chaotic form, where speed isn't just the goal, destruction is part of the strategy. The core gameplay rewards risky driving, from ramming traffic into opponents to using aggressive takedowns as a core mechanic rather than a side feature. What defines it is its intensity. Races are fast, loud, and constantly shifting, with crashes often becoming tools to gain advantage instead of setbacks. The crash system and traffic-heavy design create a constant sense of controlled chaos. Critically, it was praised for refining the Burnout formula and delivering one of the most explosive arcade racing experiences of its generation. Half-Life 2 builds on its predecessor by delivering a tightly controlled, physics-driven first-person experience, where interaction with the world is just as important as combat. The gravity gun becomes a defining mechanic, turning environmental objects into tools for both puzzles and combat encounters, which gives every situation a sense of creativity and unpredictability. What really stands out is its pacing and world building. City 17 feels oppressive and believable, with storytelling delivered entirely through environment and scripted moments rather than traditional cutscenes. Everything flows seamlessly, keeping immersion intact from start to finish. Critically, it was praised as a landmark achievement in game design, influencing nearly every modern first-person shooter that followed. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell is a methodical stealth action game that builds its identity around patience, observation, and precision. The core gameplay revolves heavily around light and shadow, where staying hidden is more important than direct confrontation, and every movement has to be deliberate. What defines it is its tension. Missions are designed to make you feel vulnerable, with limited resources and high stakes if you're detected. The tools at your disposal, gadgets, sound distraction, and environmental awareness, encourage creative problem solving rather than brute force. Critically, it was praised for its atmospheric design and for helping define modern stealth gameplay standards. JSRF, Jet Set Radio Future, is a high-speed action game built around movement, rhythm, and style, where traversal itself is the core of the experience. Instead of traditional combat focus, gameplay revolves around grinding rails, chaining tricks, and navigating interconnected urban spaces with momentum and precision. What really stands out is its identity. The cel-shaded art style, paired with an energetic soundtrack, creates a distinct visual and audio rhythm that drives the entire experience. It feels constantly in motion, almost like a performance rather than a standard game loop. Critically, it was praised for its originality, style, and for refining the foundation of the original Jet Set Radio into something faster and more fluid. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell: Chaos Theory represents the peak of the series' stealth design, refining movement, AI behavior, and level structure into a more flexible and player-driven experience. The core gameplay still revolves around light, sound, and stealth, but now offers more freedom in how missions can be approached. What sets it apart is its balance. You can go completely ghost-like or lean into more aggressive stealth tactics depending on playstyle, and the systems consistently support both. The AI is smarter, the tools are more versatile, and the mission design is more open-ended than previous entries. Critically, it was praised as the most complete and polished Splinter Cell game, often considered the highlight of the franchise. Ninja Gaiden Black is a brutally demanding action game built around precision combat, fast reactions, and complete mastery of its systems. The gameplay is centered on tight swordplay, enemy aggression, and constant pressure, where even small mistakes are heavily punished. What defines it is its difficulty, but also its fairness. Every encounter is designed to be learnable, rewarding players who adapt and improve rather than rely on shortcuts. Movement and combat feel extremely responsive, with a strong emphasis on timing and spacing. Critically, it was praised for its depth, polish, and for setting a high standard for action game design that influenced the genre for years. Burnout 3 Takedown is an arcade racing game built entirely around speed, aggression, and controlled chaos. Instead of simply finishing first, the core mechanic revolves around takedowns, forcing opponents into crashes to gain boost and momentum, which turns every race into constant risk-reward decision-making. What defines it is its intensity and flow. The boost system rewards reckless driving, encouraging you to stay in dangerous situations at high speed while chaining takedowns and near misses. Combined with explosive crashes and fast-track design, it creates an almost non-stop adrenaline loop. Critically, it was praised as one of the greatest arcade racers ever made, setting a benchmark for the genre. Halo 2 expands the original formula, with a stronger emphasis on dual-wielding weapons, vehicle combat, and a more cinematic campaign structure. The gameplay is built around smooth shooting mechanics, shield-based combat, and large-scale encounters that constantly shift between infantry and vehicular warfare. What really defines it is its impact. The campaign introduces a more complex narrative with multiple perspectives, while the multiplayer completely reshaped online console gaming through Xbox Live, setting a new standard for competitive play. Maps, matchmaking, and balance all contributed to its long-term popularity. Critically, it was praised for its refinement, ambition, and for becoming a defining title of the Xbox era. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas takes open-world design to a massive scale, giving players an entire state to explore with cities, countryside, and desert environments all seamlessly connected. The gameplay blends driving, shooting, exploration, and character progression, with systems like stamina, skills, and customization adding more depth than previous entries. What defines it is freedom. You're not just completing missions, you're building a character, shaping your playstyle, and interacting with a world that feels alive and reactive for its time. The story is also more grounded and personal, following CJ's return and rise through gang conflict and corruption. Critically, it was praised as a landmark open-world game that pushed the genre forward in nearly every direction. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is a story-driven RPG that places heavy emphasis on player choice, party interaction, and moral alignment. The gameplay is turn-based in structure, but presented in real-time flow, blending strategy with cinematic pacing across exploration and combat. What defines it is its narrative depth. Your decisions directly shape the story, especially through the light and dark side system, which affects dialogue, outcomes, and even character development. The writing builds a strong cast and a mystery-driven plot that gradually escalates in scope. Critically, it was praised as one of the greatest RPGs ever made, largely due to its storytelling and impact on player-driven narratives. And you probably know it better than me. Taking the first spot naturally, we have Halo Combat Evolved. This masterpiece takes the top spot on this list because it didn't just succeed as a game, it fundamentally shaped what console shooters became. The gameplay is built on clean, responsive gunplay, regenerating shields, and a perfect balance between infantry combat and vehicle warfare, creating encounters that always feel smooth and tactical. What makes it stand out is its design clarity. Every level introduces new situations without overwhelming the player, keeping combat focused, readable, and constantly engaging. The weapon and enemy sandbox encourages experimentation, which gives the gameplay strong replay value even today. Its impact goes beyond the campaign. The multiplayer helped define console online and LAN culture, becoming a cornerstone of competitive play. Critically, it's regarded as one of the most important and influential shooters ever made, and an easy choice for the #1 spot. And that wraps up the ranking for the top 20 highest rated Xbox games of all time. This list wasn't just about scores, it was built using critic ratings, user scores, and review volume to better reflect consistency, popularity, and long-term impact. So if something felt a bit unexpected, that's exactly the point. Real data doesn't always match nostalgia or assumptions. Now I'm curious, what would your personal top 3 Xbox games be? Did Halo deserve the #1 spot, or would you have picked something else? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read them all. If you enjoyed this data-driven style of ranking, make sure to like the video and subscribe, because I'm covering more consoles and more all-time lists next. And your suggestions might decide what comes next.